welcome back to the camp.
Nice to meet you, Dave. I'm
Big
Anthony.
A.
It's been a while, hasn't
Yeah,
it? It's been a while.
absolutely. Yeah,
You've
yeah, yeah.
been, you,
I don't know whether we remember how to do these shows.
oh no, like that was a bit of a crazy put together for the last hour
Yeah.
today, or last 20 minutes. So,
Been a,
but yeah,
it's
got it together. So that's good. So,
been a
what have you been
solid
doing,
month.
Dave?
Been a solid month, I think, since before the
You
games.
you went to the
Bef-
games, didn't you?
Before the CrossFit Games, it seems like an eternity ago. Like that whirlwind of a holiday to California, back to Cali, as the secret word was for the semi-finals. Back to Cali.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was spectacular. It was all that it was made out to be by Dave Castro and more.
Yeah.
I had a fantastic time, made better by the whole family coming along as well. So the missus and the two kids, we had a great time. Um, and
Best event you saw. What was the best event?
geez, it's hard to put a finger on that one. They were all really exciting. Even some of the things that may have been a little bit boring on YouTube, like say I heard some criticism of that machine event, where they had to
Oh, yeah.
row for 7K,
3600 and
yeah, and then ski like in the stadium. That was great. That just was really exciting to watch that because like it was just so you know
mm,
visible as to how people were progressing. Because we had like the screens showing how close people were,
yep.
the big jumbotron,
Mm-hmm.
um, and not only that, but in between events, like the whole day went really quickly. We got in there early, watched the events, and because there were 20 events, right? It was just like, oh,
Bang,
what?
bang,
There's
bang,
another
bang.
one. There's another. What? The next event's starting already? Shit! Hold on, we've got to get back to our seats. And then you'd be out in Vendor
That's very
Village,
cool.
rubbing shoulders with the Mayhem crew, Dave Castro out there, Savan, the Sevenistas. Yeah, there was always something to do. Met
Very cool.
Bruce, the CEO.
And you got to see our boy Bailey Martin. What did he do? He won that ring event, didn't he?
The gymnastics specialty event.
Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah,
cool. Pity it wasn't worth 100 points for him because he was so good at
smash
that.
that one. Yeah, yeah.
So
But the Aussies, like Jay and Maddie Sturt, like it was so good to be able to cheer on our own, and Ricky, our own sort of
athletes.
our own athletes. Yeah, that was really neat. Just showing
So,
showing the Americans how to do it. But
talking
end of the
about
day, yep,
Bailey and maybe
and
what
all of
helped him
these
win that.
and all of these elite athletes, probably have a secret weapon in their corner that we don't really know about.
Mm-hmm.
And as our promotional videos have been highlighting, the man behind them or the people behind them are probably something like our guest tonight.
Absolutely. Let's bring him on.
Bring him on. You got the honours there. Hello, Dan, Mr. Dan,
Hey,
the
Dan.
man, Vann.
Hey team, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Van, thanks for your time tonight.
You're welcome.
So, do you
Pleasure.
get that, Dan the Man Van? Is that something you get?
Well, I was a school teacher for about 18 years, so you can imagine what school kids did with it. I used to just tell them my middle name was Stan, and that really got them going.
Dan the Man, Stan Van. So,
my mum and dad will tell you it's Daniel, and they won't take anything else. But it was pretty easy. It became Dan Van.
You know what? I may have had a spelling mistake on some of our promo. I might have only put one N in a couple of our promos. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. For some reason, everyone puts two N's on the Dan as well. Like it's really.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
We can all tell you from the land of the long white cloud, the accent, the NZ accent.
Yeah. Christchurch. She's cold at the moment here, but it's warming up.
Christchurch and 9 p.m. in Christchurch, everyone. So big thanks to Dan for giving up his evening at 9 p.m. What are you normally doing at 9 p.m.? on a Monday to Friday, Dan? Are you in bed or you in front of the
Well,
telly
I
watching a
should
bit
be
of
getting
Netflix?
ready for bed, but I'm a bit neurodivergent, so I tend to spend all my time doing my cramming of my admin this time of night, and but
That's
it's
not.
a bit of a
Is
night
that?
out, which is good in some ways, but the problem is I train at 6 a.m. in the morning every morning.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you're sort of you're one of these guys that sort of burns the candle at both ends. Up at 6 a.m. doing non-face-to-face work at 9 p.m. I remember those days. I try not to do that too much these days, but like admin at 9 p.m. that's not good.
no, I don't.
And
I don't. That's not the best way of doing it, but it ends up being that way sometimes. Certainly not the plan.
Yeah, so that really does eat into your hourly rate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It goes into
Yeah.
And we have a message from a new subscriber, John Hepburn 6751. Thanks for the message, John. I hope you enjoy the show. I think is John a Kiwi, Anthony? John, are you a Kiwi?
I don't think he is.
Let us know, John,
if he is, sorry. If you are,
Yeah.
John, sorry. I should know.
sorry if we didn't know. I got a sneaky feeling.
It could be depending on the way you want to look at it. It could be oh, geez, he is. Well, your accent's not very strong, John. So that's your issue, not ours.
Yep. I just had a sneaky feeling that he was a Kiwi. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Well, John, I know John's he's drunk the Kool-Aid and he's a CrossFitter now.
So what do you get up at 6 a.m. to do? Are you a
tell us about
CrossFitter,
that.
Dan?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Yeah, CrossFit. Yeah. So I've always trained. I did a bit of sort of powerlifting for about 10 years. Not competitive. I did a little bit of competition, but just trained for that sort of lifting and stuff. And then my wife got into CrossFit I reckon it was about 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And she's a PT, so I always had a free membership at a gym. So, and then she started competing and I started going along and I was starting to get the FOMO. And then I was like, I'll give this a go. And then fully joined the cult about 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you qualified? Do you do the Open every year? And
we're actually going to Melbourne for the Masters HQ finals next week.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
What age division? What age division?
I'm in 40s, 40 to 45.
40 to 45. Okay, cool. That's
that's
cool.
Cool.
There'll be one age division younger than one of our members who loves it as well. Is this the Masters League?
No, Masters HQ.
Masters HQ. Okay, different comp. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. And so, how many days a week do you train CrossFit? Monday to Friday, or?
Yeah, I tend to do Monday to Friday, but now our gym does like a competitive sort of like competition training on the weekends. So I tend to take 1 or 2 days off during the weekend so I can do those because they're bigger days. They're 2 or 3 hours a day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So then, like especially coming into the comp, they will get to like practice them and do the timings and do the test the workouts and stuff like that. So
yep.
I'm pretty good. I used to just train every day and just burn it down, but I've worked out over the years that doesn't work, and you do need to recover, and that's all part of what we do now. If our performance coaching is understanding what you need to get out of the stimulus and actually giving yourself. I'm much better recovered, like in terms of I've bought a sauna and an ice bath and have all that stuff at home now, and
okay.
I really
Did you hear that, Dave?
It's a priority now that I'm a bit older.
A sauna and an ice bath.
Yeah.
These are things that Dave
Anthony's right. Anthony's right into that stuff too.
Yeah.
I haven't dived into that sort of side of recovery yet.
Because he's too scared to jump in the ice bath. We have a video, Dave. Remember that.
And what's your gym? Shout out to your gym in Christchurch. What's that called?
Yeah, it's called CrossFit D-Day.
CrossFit D-Day. Wow.
That's a pretty cool name.
Awesome.
I like that.
Fantastic. All right, and okay, so and you also mentioned that you used to be a teacher, primary school, high school. Or?
Yeah, so primary trained, but spent most of my time teaching middle school. So, which is the worst age group. sort of 12, 13-year-olds. But
12 to 14 and that 12 to 15.
yeah. So they're on the good days, they're the best to teach. On the worst days, they are the worst. But it was kind of just an area, the age group that a lot of the male teachers tend to do better in. And I quite like though you can be a bit more independent with them, and you can give them a bit of stick and stuff, and they kind of get it. Whereas I've done a few days of relieving in like a year 1 and 2s and stuff, and it's just not my it's not my thing.
More like babysitting.
Yeah. Wiping noses and
And were you teaching physical education, or
not for the first 10 years? I was just general classroom, and the last 8 was PE. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then was that like your stepping stone to sort of advancing into developing your business? I'm assuming it's your primary business and focus now, the performance training.
Yeah, so I started as a side hustle about 13 years ago, and I played a season of cricket in the UK, and I was player coach for a club there, and I did a bit of work for a guy who had a business there in the UK, and he was a bit of a turkey as a businessman and a coach, and I was like, well, if this guy can do it, surely I can do it. So came home, just sort of started as a side hustle, and then just slowly got enough clients to move to sort of just relief teaching, so a little bit less commitment, because it's a pretty hard doing both, running a business and teaching at the same time. And then sort of COVID, I actually resigned just before COVID, which was terrible timing, but it actually worked out quite well in the end. But because that's where I started doing more mental skills coaching, because everyone was at home. I was like, well, I can't coach them in person, so I'm going to have to learn some different skills. So
Gotcha.
Doubled down on the mental skills.
So before the lockdowns and whatnot, was it more? Was it still mental skills focused, but just in person?
No. So I've always had an interest in mental skills, and we've always had that as part of what we do. But no, it was actually just one-on-one and holiday programs and coaching for like cricketers, rugby players. More actual sports coaching at that point.
Okay, so what does that mean? Like, what were you doing differently for the athletes as opposed to the standard cricket coach, the team coach?
Oh, so especially for cricket, obviously cricket's a very technical sport. So you can do one-on-ones and take the people for batting sessions, and you're working through all sorts of stuff. You get the actual technical skills of the batting and how they do it, and then the mental process about getting into routines and switching on, switching off, and getting a plan together, and how you're going to attack this, and where are your zones you can score, and that sort of stuff too. But to start with, it was literally just technical one-on-one coaching. I've just developed those mental skills as I went.
Oh, okay. So did that become something that you saw a bit of a need for it? Like, you're teaching someone how to bat and bowl and whatnot, and then did it become evident to you that, hang on, there's no one really focusing on this mental side of the game?
Yeah, it was a bit of both. So a bit of there was a need for it, and B, I just had an interest in it. I knew it was a point of difference, and there's lots of people who coach cricket, but there's not as many people coaching the mental skills. So it was partly a personal interest, and then also just something that my clients got a lot out of, and just saw it as something that would be a point of difference, which would help us, be different and offer something that a lot of other people weren't able to offer.
Okay.
So does that take a really personalized approach to the individual that you're coaching, like to be able to work through?
Sure. Especially with teenagers, like it takes a lot of rapport before you can sort of ask them about their fears and doubts and all that sort of stuff, So and to be honest, for most of it, we wouldn't even mention the mental skills coaching. We would just tuck it in there, sort of without making it a big deal. Whereas sometimes, I think one thing that's a bit of a bugbear of mine is most people come to a mental skills coach when something's wrong. So it's like, oh, I'm struggling with this. I need to be fixed. Whereas, people go to the gym to get stronger. People go to the nets to get better at batting. Like, it's just a performance tool. Whereas for mental skills, a lot of the time it's just fix the problem. But, if we all, there's absolutely no doubt that we've all got things that are interfering with our performance, and doubts, worries, pressure, expectations, all those things. If we actually took a front foot approach to that and actually got better at those skills before it was a problem, we'd be incredibly better athletes.
So where do you think those problems kind of originate, like in your experience, from does it come from childhood? Does it come from like somebody telling them that they're not good enough and then they just start to form that in their head? Or what do you see as the principle?
Well, I guess one thing is not necessarily a problem. It's just like something they're lacking or something they've had trouble with, or like, I think everyone has interferences and things that hold them back. So yeah, it's definitely 100% nurtured from, the people they've been around, the coaches they've had, the experiences they've had. They may have just had a poor experience, and then that, like, I'll give you an example. Myself, I almost drowned when I was an 8-year-old. So I never put my head underwater for about 35 years. And I had a CrossFit comp. So I had a CrossFit comp in this same one, Masters HQ one that's coming up. And I'd been training for it. We'd done the local version of it. We'd done the national version of it. And then we got to the final. So I'd spend a bit of money, spend all your training for it, and then get to the final. And then 2 weeks, maybe a month out, they gave us a heads up, because obviously swimming's a little bit different to the normal programming.
Yeah.
They said, by the way, you're going to have to swim. I was like, oh, shit. So I literally I got an Olympic coach, which helped. And he had a terrible time trying to teach me, but we managed to get good enough that I could finish the event. And I didn't come last. But that was the driver that got me to learn to swim. And it was interesting, because it wasn't just the fear of, at that point when I was, 10, I was 38 by that point. It wasn't actually the fear of the swimming anymore. It wasn't the fear of like putting my head underwater. It was more of the fear of like being the Muppet who's 30 something who can't swim and looking like an embarrassment and stuff like at the pool. That was actually what was holding me back. But the pressure of not wanting to look like a clown at the event was stronger than that. So that made me get over that. But then we got to the event and they said, oh, by the way, you got to run 2Ks and do 50 burpees before you jump in the pool. I was like, oh, great.
How far was the swim?
It was 10 lengths, so it must have been 25
like
meters or 250 meters, which
meters.
a long way for a beginner swimmer.
Yeah.
But I finished it. I managed it. I didn't have to doggy paddle too far.
So what? But what did you do your own mindset stuff there, or like what? How did you kind of address that?
I don't think at that point that wasn't an issue, because I was literally just like, I don't want to look silly. I'm going to go and get good at swimming, or get better at swimming.
Yeah.
So that was just more of I just needed a bit of a kick in the bum, and that was what started that. I'd actually always wanted to get better at swimming, but I just didn't ever put time towards it or have any reason to go out and do it. So that just created the urgency, I guess, to go out and do it.
So that's more of a skill development of swimming. You had the reason for not being able to swim as a psychological thing or a mental thing, but for you that was like, I got to learn how to swim so that I can do the 250 meters, and then maybe the mental stuff as well to sort of get over the fear. But like, is the mental skills something that that athletes at any level can benefit from, do you think? Or are you talking about only like elite athletes or your cricket team back in the day when you started? Were they just like, your local suburban cricket team, or were they a high level team? Or who are the people that need to consider mental training for sport? Because like, I can say I've played sport my whole life, relatively high level, state and CrossFit and other sports that I've done, I've not had 1 second of mental skill training. And I just wonder whether that's something that if I had, it could have pushed my performance in things, and maybe even in the future can help push my performance to another notch up on the scale.
Yeah.
So what
Well,
do you think?
100%. Like, so to first question, we had 5-year-olds right up to 50-year-olds. So, and like professional cricketers right down to beginner cricketers. So, there's all sorts of things that come up for that. So like, for instance, I don't think pressure's all relative, right? So, you could have the 13-year-old who's got, the pressure for him is that the parents are investing all this money into getting this coaching, and he feels all this pressure to perform to meet the expectations of this, of all this effort and investment and stuff. Yeah. Or it could be the pressure of making the first 15 or the first 11 or the first, whatever team they're looking to get into. So there's everyone has pressure and stress. It's all part of life, and it's all relevant to our level we play, right? So there's no doubt that it doesn't discriminate. We all experience it. But yeah, I think absolutely, like, and even though you haven't had maybe no formal mental skills training, I'm sure you have developed mental skills as you went, like, it's just if you get a mental skills coach, you will get that. You'll figure out those things a bit quicker, and you'll hopefully improve those skills quicker. And, I mean, if you talk about that performance equation, everyone has their potential, and then your performance is your potential minus the interference. So the less interference you have, the closer you're going to get to that ceiling, right? And if we can strip back some of that stuff that's holding us back, we can, we're going to get closer to that ceiling, and we're going to be able to prevent things stopping us performing at our best, or looking at the other way, performing at our best more often,
Okay. So, just sort of creating a bit of a structure with how you're going to tell us about this. Starting, I think a good way to start would be like, what creates that relative pressure in an athlete, whether they're 5 or whether they're like me, 53. What creates that pressure? Like, I don't know, Anthony, every single time I line up for the brief in the CrossFit class, I feel pressure and nervous about the workout. Like last night we did a really tough, high intensity 5-rounder, and every single round absolutely sucked, and I knew it was going to suck. And I was like, oh. Now that's pressure, right?
Yeah,
that's pressure. What is creating that in athletes? And I'm sure if I looked around the gym, everyone's kind of probably going to be feeling it to some degree.
Yeah, they'll feel different things, right? So there'll be people in there that might be beginners that are feeling imposter syndrome. There might be people who are the best in the gym who are feeling a pressure to perform and be the best in the gym. There's people that are going to be,
the pain. I'm thinking about the pain. I know it's going to hurt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, one way of looking at it is actually like stress and pressure, which is relatively similar thing. Like, it's actually a performance enhancer, right? So if you think back to like stress in its most natural thing, it was there for us to, like, as cavemen, to go out and hunt and go and avoid getting eaten by saber-toothed tigers. And so it would give us the performance to be able to run faster, jump higher, perform so we don't die. That's really what it was there for. And one thing I think that we don't get right with that is we're not very good at regulating that. So a lot of the time we train at the gym, we go to work, and then we come home, we've got family and stuff. It's all quite stressful. If we don't regulate that, we can be sitting in that sort of quite high stress sort of all day. And that kind of, so from that point of view, there's the wear and tear sort of stress, which is something I honestly think that's quite a high contribution why Bailey had the heart attack. He was burning himself out. He didn't recover well enough, training really, really hard, really, really worried about not doing enough because he wanted to do well at the games, you know.
Mhm.
So for him, that's what his pressure was, you know, like you've got to train. That's one of the probably the hardest things for a professional CrossFit athlete, I think, is you've got to be an elite runner, swimmer, weightlifter, gymnast, you know, all these things, and somehow fit that all into a time, and then still have time to recover. And then you're looking at, you know, Instagram and seeing that your teammates or your competitors are lifting more than you, or, you know, there's all those things like that. So I think when you're young, some of these guys who are quite young and probably don't realize how much that is putting on them, they just keep push, and then eventually, well, if you're not going to recover, your body will just go, well, we'll do something about that ourselves, right?
We're going to recover.
Yeah. So
We're
here's
stopping
3
work.
months off, Bailey.
I wonder if any coaches actually tell their athletes just switch off social media. Don't have that extra external pressure layered into your already self-generated pressures of performing.
So I mean, it's all well and like, you know, you kind of, I guess, describe the perfect scenario for stress, and then you get in your head about all those things, and I'm not contributing, I'm not doing what I need to do, I'm not hitting that lift. So what are the techniques that you would kind of use? Like, how would you take someone who's thinking in that space, like, to do something different?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is an awareness thing. So actually having some awareness about like firstly, just awareness of how stress is affecting you and how you're managing that yourself. So like, because I think a lot of the time, a lot of people, not just professional athletes, you know, business people, family people, you know, all that are stressed out, we're all in that chronic stress a lot. So because it's so normal, it almost feels like that's
the normal.
I'm not stressed. I'm just feeling as stressed as I normally am. So that's a big one, is just actually understanding and knowing how much that is, and actually having that awareness so you can do something about it.
Do you measure that, Dan? Is it measurable? Like, do you do cortisol levels or inflammatory markers? Do you sometimes?
And there's obviously
do that?
you can use your wearables as well, which is going to contribute. But yeah, and I've actually got a little profile where it's got it's a 15-question stress test, which is you know, how's it affecting your sleep, your lifestyle, your eating habits, your appetite, you know, all those sort of things, where at least it's not a perfect test, but at least it gives you a baseline where you can compare something, and you can actually go, oh, okay, I'm about a 10, I'm a 9 or an 8 out of 10.
It's a relative scale that you can use as a coach to tell someone, hey, you're pretty high on the scale. So is this something that you came up? Is this the Dan Vann test?
A little bit, but a little bit AI helped me with it, and a little bit of
that's pretty interesting.
Other classes, like other workshops I've been to, and just sort of pinching and pulling from different things I've been to.
Sleep, appetite, and so what are you asking their sleep? Is this like using wearables and things like that? Like, what does your watch tell you? HRV or things like that?
HRV for sure. Like resting heart rate, all those. That's not in that particular test, but that's something you definitely use as because not everyone's using wearables, so you can't have that as something that all have. But but like obviously with sleep can be a bit of a tricky one, because I've got clients who are getting 9 hours sleep a night, but waking up absolutely exhausted because they're having very shallow, poor sleep because they've had about 15 coffees a day to get through their day. So there's a lot of lifestyle factors and stuff like that, which, sleep, you can't just say, oh, let's go and get better sleep. There's a lot of factors that contribute to that sleep, so.
All right. So we got first step, awareness.
Yeah.
So what's the next thing?
So then it would be about like if we're going to talk CrossFit specific, especially, I think having I have like a gold standard, like a standard. So it's like, okay, if I've done this today, then I've done enough. So okay, this is what so most of these guys have programming that they're expected to do. So it's like, okay, today I'm going to just make sure I hit this and I do this, and it's all going to be done at my 70 or 80% or whatever it is, because it's unachievable and unsustainable to do everything 100%. And then to have that, and then have your things that go with it. So your recovery, your mobility, all that sort of stuff. So that those are the things, because they're the things. It's kind of all the, like, once you've set a goal, let's say it's the CrossFit Games or whatever. It's not that's not really something we want to focus on. We want to focus on the process that takes us there. So all those things like the daily mobility, the daily stretch, the daily sauna, the daily ice bath, whatever those things that you decide to do that are going to get you there. And if we have a standard, and we don't want to make it too overwhelming either, because sometimes you can do too much as well. So, so we try to just work out with that athlete what's their gold standard, what's an acceptable thing, and then if they've done that, they can just go to sleep at night and go, cool, I did what I wanted.
So I tick the boxes. I tick the boxes.
Yeah.
So they have
rather
to be
than
quite
trying to tick every box that's unsustainable. And
it's almost like a level of being organised too, then, right?
Yeah.
Being organised with your time.
Clarity is a big one. Like, I think if they, like, I think, so for example, again, using Bailey as an example, Bailey is a really good athlete. He had a good mindset in terms of he could push really hard, and we talked about on the podcast about this, like, before we worked together, he thought his mindset was pretty good, which it was, but there was just little things he was missing, like, so before a workout, sort of going over the things that might happen and what. So we talk about having, like, stable confidence. So there's a really good golf coach who talks about acceptance. So for you to win the CrossFit Games, you have to be able to accept that you could come last to come first, if that makes sense.
You have to be in it, basically.
If you're constantly trying to not come last, you'll never come first. You'll always be, trying to avoid the negative outcome. So it's like, okay, what could happen in this event? I could, have a bad event. I could have an injury. I could have a malfunction. Try and cover those things that might happen. But if they do happen, I can accept that it might happen, and I can just because it's not we're expecting it to happen, we're just accepting that if it did happen, we could live with it. And if you do that, it gives you permission to be able to go out and just pursue the goal. Whereas
it dismantles the fear, doesn't it? It really
that's it. It's just basically freeing you up. So it's like, it doesn't matter if I come last. That's not what we're trying to think about, but it just gives you that sort of freedom to go, I'm not trying to not lose. I'm trying to get as many points as I can over the weekend, do as well as I can. And that's the thing about, like this 20 event CrossFit Games, there's so much going on. There's so many events, and there's so many, it was a pretty full on, was it 4 days in the end?
It was. They had the 1 day rest. They went off on Wednesday. They had Thursday rest day, and then they just went Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the Wednesday was like chaotic. They was just like go. They hardly had any time to pack the gear up and get on the bus and move to the next venue.
Which I mean, in some ways, probably helps some of those overthinkers not have time to overthink. But it's certainly, like, there's a lot of things that are out of their control. They their warm ups weren't ideal. Some of the lifting platforms for the CrossFit Total was a little bit dodgy, those sort of things. But you got to accept that nothing you can do about it, right? They are what they are. So you've got to just accept what's thrown at you.
Is it a different context of in competition mental skills versus the daily grind? In the pre-season, and then immediately leading up, and then you've got your 5 days or 4 days of comp. Very different switch, because I would imagine that once you're actually at the event, like, okay, I either go to the event, I know I've done the work. That in itself is a real mental boost. Like, I've done the work, I'm here now, and what happens will happen. And then you've got different strategies during the events, and then there's all this other strategy that helps you work through that process, the mental skills to help you get that confidence behind you.
Yeah, that's what that's what we talked about, like having just some of those structures. Like one thing Bailey said he used to do is if he had a bad event, he would dwell on those for a whole day, and then that would affect his next event. So just having a real simple process about, okay, after the event, you know, what went well, what didn't go well, what can I work on next event, done, moved on, you know. So you're not thinking of, like, actually just sitting there and thinking about it means you've dealt with it. So your brain can kind of go, cool, yep, we've thought about that, you know. Whereas if you don't deal with it, it just ticks away in your background and go, you know, I wish I'd done better there. That wasn't good enough. I suck, you know. Those sort of negative self-talk will just keep going because you haven't really had that you haven't given your brain that clarity.
And so when you do that process, Dan, do you do it with someone, or do you find that they have to write it down? Because like there's still an element of being in your head if you, I guess, you know, so what do you do from that perspective?
Yeah, so there's no one way works for one, you know, it's sort of a one for one thing. So some people like to talk to someone, some people like to write it down. I've got clients who actually write it down and then screw it up and throw it in the bin, so they literally have moved on.
Yeah, they've dealt with it. Yeah.
Some people keep it in a journal because they actually like to go back and go, oh, when I was thinking this way, what was actually working, what wasn't working, so you can actually use it as a tool to sort of reflect on. Some people like to talk to their coach. The only downside of doing it with another person is, what if that person's not there? Then you don't have that, you know. So you want to try and make it as
individual
consistent so there's no external things that could go wrong, or not go wrong, but not, if that person's not there, it's not going to ruin your event.
So give them some autonomy in it, type of thing.
If you
can, okay.
And then the same with like before an event, like, you know, like having some really like clear strategy, like, okay, this is plan A, this is plan B, making sure my equipment's all good, you know, just having all that, you know, everything that you can think of that might happen already dealt with, so you don't get in your head when you get onto the event. So you're trying to be as clear as possible. Yeah. And then we do quite a lot of performance breathing stuff, because that's a really good tool just for staying in the moment. Because when you're thinking about your breath, it kind of automatically forces you to sort of stay in the moment.
So you're doing things like box breathing, you mean? Like four?
Not necessarily box breathing, just generally better breathing. So we use this thing called performance breathing gears, which is I can't remember the guy who invented it, but he's a performance coach in America who's pretty well known. And it's just basically a gear system. So as you go through different levels of exercise, you use a different gear. So when you're absolutely hauling it for, say, a Fran or a really fast event, you're going to be in fourth gear, where you're using your mouth mostly, but it's an effective mouth breath rather than most people who just sit there and huff and puff. And then when you recover, you go back down the gears. So you're trying to use your nose, maybe you're exhaling 2 times to 1 every inhale, or there's lots of different sort of patterns you use, but what it does is it kind of just gives you something to focus on, rather than what's my person next to me doing, what's the time, what's the, you know, all the sort of uncontrollables that are
around. All right, so give us a few performance breaths we can use in our workouts, Dan. What
I wouldn't be able to go through the gears in this time, but I'd tell you one thing, just and once you've seen this, you can't unsee. I did a session with Luke DeJohn recently, and he was like, "Oh, now I just look around the gym and I can just see people who don't breathe very well." But because most people don't breathe very well, right? Like it's we sit.
We're all mouth breathers.
Yeah, because we've evolved to breathe an easy, you know, it's a kind of a lazy breath, because we sit and we, you know, it's just a bit of a way. It's efficient for sitting. It's just not very efficient for working out or when you're under a bit of stress. Yeah,
but the purpose of it is a distraction, though, Dan. It's a distraction from
not just
negative,
distraction,
or is it
more
actually
yeah, so it'll help you perform better, because obviously you're breathing better. You're going to blow off the excess carbon dioxide. You're going to breathe in better oxygen. You're going to breathe at a better rate, because that's one thing. Most people overbreathe and breathe too fast and too shallow.
Okay.
So to give people a bit of something to take home, if you think of the word nose and change the O to a G, so we want to breathe mostly nasal, gentle, slow and expansive. So I could show you guys if you want. So if you put your hands on your shoulders and close your eyes and just take 2 big deep breaths in. Cool. So both feel your shoulders move quite a bit there.
Yep.
Yeah. So ideally, again, most of us use our our shoulders and our upper chest to breathe, which is not really our breathing muscles. So we want to be using our diaphragm and our lower parts of our body. So try it again.
Yep.
This time, try to relax your shoulders and put your thumb and your finger on your rib cage. Okay, and then just do the same thing, but try to breathe in through your nose and relax your shoulders, and then breathe out through your mouth like a straw.
Okay, so less shoulder, movement, more diaphragmatic and costal.
Yeah. So that's why that straw breathing actually engages your diaphragm and it lengthens the exhale. Because if you watch most people next time you're in a workout where it's quite intense, most people are going to be really quick, shallow shoulder breath. Whereas if they can just blow, like, the biggest thing is you actually can't breathe in until you've blown off the carbon dioxide. So you need to actually really lengthen that. I'll sometimes do 2 or 3 exhales before I breathe in to just blow that CO2 off, and then you can actually catch up, and then you sort of get
we actually use that in intensive care. That's called PEEP.
Oh, right.
Positive end expiratory pressure. And there's actually there's a dial on the ventilator.
Oh, really?
That is PEEP. And when you dial the PEEP up, you're doing exactly that. You're pursing the lips of the ventilator, the tube going down the throat. And PEEP, if you dial the PEEP up, you can see the oxygenation, the saturations increase. Because what it does is it keeps the alveoli open longer.
Yeah.
So if the alveoli are open longer, you've got greater time for gas exchange.
Okay, so why don't you breathe like that in the workout?
Well, when I'm running and I'm really exhausted, I actually purse my lips.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, okay, let's increase PEEP when I'm really, and I go, and then you can.
You know what, Dan? He's never shared that until tonight. He's never shared that with anyone.
That's called that's called PEEP, and I remember that because one of my friends was a very good runner, and when I was running next to her, this during uni days, and she was almost whistling.
Yeah.
She was whistling. We didn't know the physiology, medical students, but when I started working in the intensive care, I thought, there's the dial, and it was like, fuck, she's increasing her PEEP, which is fantastic because when people have got pneumonia and stuff, and you need to get more up, dial the PEEP up there. That's physiology in what you do there. That's fantastic.
Is it also
lowers your heart rate? It's going to makes you feel more in control. And when you do that, right, you tend to, like, the self-talk, the negative self-talk seems to sort of get a bit quieter, and you sort of can just stay in your lane a little bit. Whereas if you're absolutely hauling it and you're breathing fast and shallow, that's engaging that stress response, and then you're going to start going, we need to stop here. This is not good.
I guess it's similar because it's almost like the similar process of when you jump in the ice bath and you need to take control of your breath, right? Because if your breath is under control, your body is under control, and it stops stressing and trying to think that you're going to die because you're in this freezing cold temperature, right? So it makes. I've never actually put those together. I breathe like that in the ice bath, but I've never thought about it in terms of it's just another stress, right? So if you can control that stress in a controlled manner, you're telling the body everything's going to be okay. Yeah,
and you're actually sort of putting the dimmer on that sort of nervous system response too. So you're going from big sympathetic reaction to, I'm actually calm and chill in here. You can see, like, when we use ice baths to practice that sort of nervous system regulation, and you can actually get people to really comfortably nose breathe in an ice bath after 2 minutes, whereas most people, I've seen people online who do ice baths and they're just doing it because they think it's a good trend, but they're actually just hyperventilating and actually battling their way through it. It's not that that's not that good for you.
That's not the purpose of it. Yeah,
No.
I did one, like I did my first like nasal ice breath, like with a breathwork instructor, and we did all our breath work beforehand through the nose, which I'd never done, as it was always like that holotropic breathing through the mouth. But
Yeah.
this one we did through the nose, and like when I jumped in the ice, she said, "I want you to breathe through your nose the whole time." And I
Yeah.
felt like I was starving for oxygen for the first like 10 or 15 seconds. But then afterwards, the relaxation was like nothing and now I do pretty much do the nose all through the ice bath, and it's a much
Yeah.
better experience because
It is. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
relax so quickly.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why
Dan,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. No, you go.
No,
go.
no. Were you wanting to add anything to the breathing comment?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, so in terms of like ice bath, sauna, even CrossFit itself, like some people forget how, it's a really good thing to do, and it's good stress, but it's still another stress. So some people you see who are like, working really hard, long hours, not sleeping that well, and then they kick their ass at CrossFit, and then they go into a sauna. Like, people need to be aware that, like if they think of it as like a bucket, you've got to be doing something to take that out of the bucket. Otherwise, you're just going to keep filling it until something blows. Because it's, the good thing about it, it's like a hormetic stress. So it actually helps you build your capacity to manage stress, but you've still got to be able to, give yourself time to recover and regulate and actually get yourself back to baseline, which I think a lot of people don't do enough of.
So are you saying that, like,
upregulated?
So from just based on what you're saying there, Dan, are you saying that even though ice baths and saunas are kind of, I guess, placed as recovery tools, they might not be actually that good as a recovery piece if your stress process is not great with it? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, only if they're just not, only if it's not done well. So yeah, like if you're just adding it to a bunch of other stressful things, it's not. Yeah, it needs to be done with sort of balance, So, if you're just constantly throwing stress at your body, there's nothing. Stress is not a bad thing. It's just poorly managed for most people, right? Like, it's inevitable. It's the stimulus for growth. It's what we need.
Yeah.
Right?
But is it down to? But is it? Sorry, Dave. But is it down to the way that you view it and the way that your body responds to it? So for example, like if someone is doing an ice bath and a sauna pretty much every day, but they go in with a process of, like enjoying it, like trying to breathe, and keep their body calm and all those sorts of things, is it a good thing to do versus going, people who jump in the sauna and just struggle for the entire 20 minutes and don't want to be there, but do it to tick a box?
Yeah, I think it's so that. Yeah, I think definitely that use stress, de-stress. Like, there is that perception of how the stress affects things, but I think it's also just a balance of just knowing the awareness of what your body can cope with, right? So, like for me personally, like if I just feel run down, I'm not going to CrossFit that day and then go do an ice bath. I'll just do something a bit more passive that day.
Okay.
And so the next day I'll go back because I'll give myself some time to recover, and then I can go and do that stuff. But so today was a pretty big day. I had CrossFit in the morning, had that interview thing with the dancing, which was quite nerve-wracking, and then I was leaving at school, and then I had some coaching after school. So today's been a pretty big day. So tomorrow I'm not going to be doing as much. I'll be definitely giving myself some time to. I'll have some time in the sauna. I'll just have some time to myself, or do. I'll just look after myself. But I think a lot of people just do those days back to back to back to back to back. And that's where the problem is, right? So it's all about just getting the balance right. So you're actually getting yourself back to baseline.
And so what should people look for to be able to determine that, right? Because it's all very common sense what you're saying, but what kind of indicators should they look for to go, you know what, I really should take a day off versus I should get to the gym and it's actually gonna help me, right? It's actually gonna give me some feel good hormones and all those sorts of things.
And I think it's even like, just like, for instance, sometimes I'll go to CrossFit and I'll just say, look, to our coach, look, I'm just going to come to move today. I'm not going to try and smash it and beat everyone. I'm just going to turn up and just move, just get moving and enjoy a chill session. Whereas some people like to just send it every single time they're there. So but that's definitely, I've just got a reasonably good awareness of that sort of thing now. So I think, obviously sleep's going to be a pretty obvious indicator there. If you haven't got good sleep and you're waking up and you're feeling exhausted, the amount of time you've been doing things, how long have you been, like, even just taking breaks. Like, I know I've got a lot of clients who are business owners and they literally just don't take a break all day because they just want to keep getting enough done. I'm like, if you take 2 20-minute breaks and put your phone down and go walk around like a park for those 20 minutes, you will be so much better performing that afternoon. You'll be more present when you get home for your family. It's all if you can just give yourself, we're not designed to be kicking our ass all day like that. That's just not the way we're built. We're built to go out and do something hard, come back and recover. Like, it's the tricky thing is we can get results and perform well for a while doing that. That's the problem. We get the results, but then eventually you'll hit the wall. The burnout will come, and if you do that properly, burnout isn't just feeling tired. It's not being able to function as a human. It's more than
which is kind of what we've seen with some of the younger CrossFit Games athletes.
Yeah,
like they've disappeared off the face of the earth. They were like, she's absolutely, Mel O'Brien. She was somebody that was so unbeatable, and then all of a sudden gone.
So everyone's got their own sort of genetic and life experiences that will determine their level of burnout, right?
Yeah.
Like, even going through training and medical school, like, the things have changed so much now. We would do 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And now you talk to the junior registrars and no, they don't let us do that anymore. Maximum 40.
Yeah.
But it was like, back in the day, that was the sort of the initiation. You had to show that you could you could handle 80 hours a week. And I remember, starting work on a Friday and going home on a Monday night and basically not having a break, and you'd sleep standing up. But so the burnout, and I still don't feel as though I'm burnt out, but I hear what you're saying there in terms of you probably don't realize how unproductive you are when you don't let your body recover. Because I sometimes think, and Anthony mentioned it, the feel-good hormones, like, sometimes when I come out of the office at 5 o'clock, I'm absolutely smoked because I'm just going. I don't have a break. I don't have a lunch break. I don't go for a walk around the block. I probably should.
You don't always have that luxury.
I might tell my secretary, schedule my walk around the block. But I always feel amazingly invigorated and refreshed. Even though I'm tired, those hormones have a really powerful effect on me. And so I kind of think, no, I know you're tired, but you're going to feel better in 1 hour after you've smashed yourself. And maybe I don't know, maybe that's not the right way.
Well, it may not just be the actual workout too, though. It's like, it's the community you've turned up to see. There's more to it than just smashing yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So that's why I say, like, if you turn up and you are really, really toast, you could just turn up and just do the workout, but just do it at a lower percent. Still get to see the people, still get the feel good part of it, but you haven't burnt yourself to the ground because you're not as upregulated and pushed yourself as hard.
Give my adrenal glands a little bit of a break.
Exactly.
But you're an interesting one, Dave, because
can you see me doing that? Can you see me doing that? Like,
I don't know, but I feel like you use. No, I can't. I feel like you use like you use the workouts as you're recovering.
I think
Whereas
so.
like so for your busyness in your life, and that's why like
It's
you
an
get
escape,
like itchy
isn't it?
feet if you haven't done it
Yeah.
if you miss a
Yeah,
day. You're like, oh my God, I got to get to it. I got to get to it, right?
I ring Anthony on Saturday night. Do you want to do a workout Sunday morning? It's like,
Yeah.
because I just feel like, yeah, it's weird. Like I think I'm so addicted to those hormones. It's like a drug. I need that hit. I need that hormonal hit that the intensity gives me. But moving on to another sort of question, what about sports that are completely not high intensity? So a classic one would be golf.
Golf, yeah, perfect.
Golf. Do you play golf, Ben, or not?
Poorly, but yeah, I've got golf clients.
Yeah.
I'm a very good Ambrose golfer. I'm good 75% of 25% of the time.
That seems to be this unique mental, like obviously there's a heck of a lot of skill and coordination, but and we have a life example, Ian Baker Finch, who basically just his head imploded and he could not play golf anymore. And he was still pretty prime. He was in the prime of his career, and he just couldn't get around. I don't know exactly. I've never spoken to him about it, but I was right into golf and read all the magazines and stuff like that. And he reports that he stopped playing golf because of his headspace. Yeah. And so can we talk a bit about that? Like, what is happening neurophysiologically that the mental skill needs to be repaired or enhanced?
Yeah, well, I think so. Golf's obviously a lot more passive, so it's not about that. It's a different type of stress and pressure, right? And I think the big thing about that is, so let's say a round of golf is what, 4 hours, probably if it's competitive round, maybe 3.5. But you're actually only hitting the ball 70 to 100 times, so you're actually doing the thing for a very small amount of that time, right? So one of the biggest things about that is just trying to get your switch on, switch off sorted. So it's literally you only want to be it's not even switch off, switch on, it's more switch down, I think. But so between holes, not having, not thinking about too much the future, not too much about the past, just literally going through your process, and when you get to that ball, you're able to just hit it to the best of your ability, which just sounds super easy, but we all know it's not that easy. So, and that's why you just got to give your brain as much clarity as possible, because if you don't give it clarity, it'll go and find stuff that's not going well, and it will keep reminding you of that. So, like for instance, one of the things I get my golf clients to do is have like different spaces on the tee. So when they get to their bag, that's their thinking stage. So when they're at their bag, they're allowed to do as much thinking as they want. How hard am I hitting it? How low am I hitting it? What shape am I hitting? What's the club? All that sort of stuff. Get that thinking out of your head. And so you think of it as like 3 little spaces. And the second space is the feel space. So you have a practice swing and you start thinking, like visualizing the shot and how's it going to feel and how am I going to do it. And then you have your execution. So once the ball is in the tee box and you're set up to it, you've got one swing thought and you just hit it. So, and because you've got that clarity about what to do when, your brain doesn't go searching for stuff. It's like, oh yeah, cool. We do our thinking, we do our feel, and we hit. And you can go through and you can get some.
So you're not sitting at the tee thinking, do I have the right club? Because that's not part of that process.
Yeah. So I always just ask my clients, like, how often out of how many shots they had, how often did you swing freely? And, most of the time it's very low, because they're thinking, they might be like, I don't want to hit the trees, I don't want to do this. So there's a little bit of a bit of doubt in their swing. So they haven't, So is that because they're still thinking about the previous shot? Are they thinking about the score? Are they thinking about their parents on the bag? Are they, like, there's all sorts of stuff going on there. So it's about just giving them those tools that, and even just like an awareness of like your self-talk, because there's so much time to think on a golf course.
Well, the ball's not moving, right? And so, so it's not like when you hit a tennis shot, your eyes see the ball coming towards you, and your central nervous system motor system just kicks into gear.
Yeah.
And you don't even have time for the prefrontal cortex and the consciousness part of your brain to interfere, like you're talking about the interferences.
Yeah.
Whereas with golf, it's like the ball's not moving. It's all you, right? And so like you see professional golfers miss 1-footers. And like you give that to them 90, 100 times, and they would make it.
Yeah.
But what's happened to them? What's happened to them on that one time? That's the $1 million putt.
Yeah.
And they stuff it up.
Yeah, well, that's where they're in that avoidance, right? So they're trying to not miss the putt rather than try hit the putt.
Yes.
And that's so. Did you watch Ryan Fox have that win in the Open recently?
The US Open.
Yeah, no, the Open, the
British Open
that won it. Yeah,
no.
So
what's his story?
So he's a pretty interesting story. So he's the All Black Grant Fox's son. So he was a cricketer, a rugby player all through teenagers. Played a bit of golf as just because as a bit of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Still was pretty handy. I think he was single figure handicapper, but he wasn't that serious about it.
Yeah.
Didn't really take it seriously till he was about 25 when he realised he couldn't play cricket or rugby professionally. Yes. I think he made the tour at about 30, early 30s or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, that round he had, I think he was 85th after the first round. Someone put a bet on him they put $1,000 on him before the round, and it would have paid $220,000, and he bailed on it after 2 rounds because you can, I think you can bail and they give you a bit of the money back, like to sort of cover.
Okay.
Then he had I think he had an okay round. He was 58th after 2 rounds. And then after the 3rd round, he had a world record 10 under or 12 under or something stupid.
So he makes a cut. Yep.
Yeah. And then he wins. I think he parred or birdied the last 4 to win it in the last day.
Are you kidding me? Okay.
But he was talking about he took all sorts of risks on that day, and he had some pretty shitty lies and he had some pretty rough spots, and he just had a crack. Yeah. And plenty of other days he could have come literally dead last, but because he just got in a bit of flow state and had nothing to lose and had a crack, and now he's
won the British Open. He's won the Open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
so.
Cool.
There's all sorts of different strategies of doing that sort of stuff, and it's all pretty individual. Like I've had clients where they actually talk to their negative self-talk like it's another person. So they're like, "Oh, hey Bob, don't worry, mate, I'm good. I know why you're here. It's important. We're fine." Like you just talk rationally to it, rather than what most people do is where they kind of like argue with their negative, the alter ego, kind of their inner critic.
Yeah, or have the shame associated with it. Going, why am I thinking like this? And
yes, then you get into a proper loop.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, half the time with golfers, most of my clients is I have to coach the dad first, because the dad's probably on the bag, and they're probably the ones that are the most nervous, and they put that nervousness onto their son or their daughter, and that's the really hard part. So I've actually, I always actually with those clients, do you want to just join us for the session? We'll just go through it together, and I'm just coaching the dad the whole time. So what do you? I had one client in particular who I had challenged from. I said, you can continue to be his caddy, but you have to. He actually had a cap where it says it's got dad and it's crossed out, and then it's got caddy. So when he's a caddy, he's not allowed to be dad. So he wasn't allowed to ask any questions. He wasn't allowed to give any feedback. All he was allowed to do is say, "Well done," or that was the only thing he was allowed to do. And after the round, he said to his son on the way home in the car, he said, "Oh, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do." And his son said to him, "Well, that's how I feel every single time you caddy for me." He was like, "Oh."
Wow.
So that hit home pretty well.
Wow.
Yeah.
The pressure of living up to his dad's
and the dad means well, right? He wants him to do super well, but he's not helping because he's just putting his anxiety onto the son.
Yeah. You mentioned flow state there. That's a word that I've heard athletes say, and I must say I've never really felt it. Maybe once or twice in my life, like
Yeah.
playing sport. But what is that something that athletes tell you they they've felt lots of times, and
I don't think lots of times.
they get better at entering the flow state of their performance?
Yeah, I mean it's a
And
tricky one.
why? And what is
I
it?
don't think
What is
anyone's really mastered it because we'd all be world champions if we were. But
yeah.
I've
Who's in the
definitely
better flow
experienced
state
it.
today?
Yeah, exactly. It was just set it on. I had a game where I played a season of cricket in Canada, and I had the worst. This is not ideal because I had the worst preparation to the game ever. We turned up late. We forgot someone's gear. We had a meal that wasn't the normal meal we'd have. It was a real heavy meal. Got to this game and then battered. I can't remember a single shot from this innings. I scored 150 off 75 balls, and literally every single ball I hit went straight out of the middle. I literally can't think of other than the ball I got out on the end, right at the end of the game. And that was I think. And this is when I was like 20, so I had no mental skills ideas back then. But I think what happened was because I was so excited about the final because it was in the final as well, which was pretty cool. I'd been thinking about it like all week, like how it would go, and I was kind of like visualizing, but accidentally, like just thinking about how it could go and how cool it would be to score some runs and win the game. And I wasn't intentionally trying to visualize like for performance. I was just doing it out of the sort of imagination and curiosity. And I that's the only thing I can put it down to that was different about the whole thing. And that's kind of a little bit like what Bailey did. We've talked a little bit about visualization, and it's something that takes a lot of practice, and it's quite hard to do properly. Like actually, if you can do really high end, like if you watch, I don't know if you've ever seen the Formula One drivers, like literally just visualizing they'll be with the steering wheel and all the gear, and literally just imagining through a circuit and doing the actual stuff. Or I remember hearing Matthew Hayden used to go out to the middle with all his pads on in the ECG and actually bat for an hour just in his head.
Wow.
And like you actually have to, if you're going to do it really well, try and engage all the senses, so the smells, the sounds, really, really get it, deep. And I think, to be honest, I reckon it'd be interesting to know. I don't know how you could research it, but I think kids or young people these days would find it a lot harder because I don't think they have the imagination because it's all done through technology and stuff, right? Like they don't probably do that stuff as much as we had. We didn't have that stuff when we were kids, right? So we had to imagine in a head. So I don't know if they'd have that skill to the same degree when maybe we had.
True.
But
What's that doing? What do you think that's doing? What do you think visualizing is doing to the brain and to improve performance? What do you familiarity or what is it doing?
Yeah, there's studies that I've seen studies where the mental reps are like almost exactly the same neurologically as a physical rep if you do it well. But I don't think many people do it that well, so it's not something easily done.
But I've heard that as well, like Dan, like where they've essentially said that that if you practice the shot in your mind and what is entailed and understand like every muscle and every feeling and everything that has to happen, your mind actually can't tell the difference between a thought and the actual experience. So what happens is when it happens, it's like, okay, well, this is what we do, right? This is. So that's when, and it's that whole thing. Like I've also seen the test where if you get someone to think about like the worst possible kind of emotional breakdown they've had or something like that, the brain can relive it and as if it's happening. But pain is very different. Whereas if you take a physical pain, you can't replicate that. But anything that's in the mind, your mind doesn't actually know the difference.
Yeah,
that's what
I think it's like so like if I know when you know how people say mouth-watering food, like one food that does is like salt and vinegar chips for me. I don't even eat that much of them, but some reason that does make my mouth water. And if I can imagine that, and that can happen, like where actually you know you get that same physical response. And I can think of the same thing too with like going back to something like so in 2019, yeah, I went to the Indoor Cricket World Cup and we won the World Cup in South Africa. And every time I talk about that, I get the pins and needles and the hair raising, you know, like because that was something I had as a goal as a kid to try and achieve, like just to play for New Zealand, not to win a World Cup. So, and so you could, yeah, I think your brain can literally, those reps literally count. And if your brain knows you've hit those reps, you know, like it's like if you've done a particular lift many times, when you chuck that thing on, your confidence are pretty high that you can do it. So if you can do that, you know, using visualization, and if you can, I guess you're trying to trick your brain a little bit and believe, you can use a bit of self-talk and affirmations and stuff like that to back it up. Because if you guys know about the reticular activating system and how that works?
Yeah,
kind of. That's just like your awareness system. That's what keeps us conscious and awake. That's what, when there's something wrong with your reticular activating system, you kind of lose consciousness.
Well, so my understanding as well is that like it basically filters the things that are important to you. So if you're looking to buy a new car, that car just becomes evident everywhere. You know, they were always there, but all of a sudden, because your brain knows that that's of interest, it shows you evidence that car's there, and so that same thing applies to your mindset, right? So if you're constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough or you struggle at, so I've got a few clients who, you know, they might be really strong lifter and they're really good at gymnastics, but they struggle with their cardio, or they might be whatever one of their wheelhouse isn't there. If their mindset is they constantly remind themselves, I suck at cardio, I suck at swimming, I suck at weightlifting, I suck, whatever it is, your reticular activating system will keep showing you that evidence and backing that up, right? So you kind of need to retune that. And you can, I think you can, through visualization, through self-talk, through affirmations, through, you know, all those things will help you move towards that thing.
So what's some good steps for visualization, Dan? Like, because you said we all do it very poorly. So what's some good kind of key takeaways that we can apply?
So you need to find yourself a space where you're not going to be where it's very you know, calm and just no distractions, or absolute perfect if you can be at the place you're going to do the event, right? So, you know, if you're going to be at Torium Pro and you've never been to the Torium Pro before, go the year before and sit in the stands and do it that way. You know, like you've got the sounds. That's the perfect place to do it because you've got the sounds. You've got the physical place. You know, you might look a bit silly in the corner with your eyes closed doing it, but it'll be effective. So that would be the ideal, is if you can be in the place, wearing the equipment, doing everything properly. And then it's just literally just going through all the things you do. And you can do it a few ways too. You can do it as in you're performing the task perfectly, but you can also do it like performing, like thinking of something could go wrong, but you handling it well and like getting like not, so it's like, oh yeah, this has happened before, I'm fine. You know, it's not they call it like a pre-mortem. So you're like, this could happen. If this happens, what do we do about it? We do this. Cool. So I've got a plan. I'm prepared. It's fine. If it happens, I'm not worried. Whereas if you only think about the perfect performance, when it doesn't go perfectly, which often doesn't, that's where the panic goes. And then, you know, that's where we start all that stuff is going to come into play. The negative self-talk, the you're not good enough, the doubt. So if you can try and nail that from both points of view, it just basically gives you real clarity and, as you said, familiarization about the place you're going to be in, the opposition. The great thing we have now is there's so much video about all sorts of stuff. You know, like you can watch. So for cricket, you can literally get that bowler at that stadium and watch them bowl at you. You know, you can like we've got a Trans-Tasman against Australia in 3 weeks, and I can just go onto YouTube and find the 5 bowlers that I'm probably going to face and just watch them. So it's going to be no surprise when I face them, you know, whereas 10, 15, 20 years ago, it'd be literally like first time I've ever faced them will be on the day. So there's a lot, technology has there's a few downfalls that obviously influence some things, but there's certainly some cool things that help us out with it. So making the most of that as well is going to make it, give yourself the best chance.
Yeah. So, well, you know, it was. I was saying to you, I guess earlier on, Dan, that it was so noticeable with Bailey, with his mindset going into the Torian Pro, that he was getting that position. Like he had there was no doubts. Like whereas, like I guess previous years, like when you've heard him, he didn't have that that confidence, but you know he had it with him with that with the Torian Pro. Like he just
and he was
to take it.
Yeah, you could see it, his body language, the way he actually talks, like is actually, and like the great thing was when Justin turned up, it was like rather than a threat, it was like this is just another thing that I'm gonna make it even better, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people would definitely have thought that as a big threat, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Justin was coming to take a position, right?
Yeah.
So it was very cool to see them to not let Justin get that position.
And it's almost like it's just basically reframing that situation, right? So rather than a threat, it's like it's a opportunity to not only take that third spot, but take it off a former games champion. You know. It just adds to the performance, I guess.
So it was like, you know, you don't have to answer this, but like when an athlete gets that type of information, like, oh my God, Justin's going to be there, do they call you going, oh my God, what am I going to do, Dan? Like everything was good until now this, and you have to then step them through something, or have they already got the skills by that stage, do you find?
There's no set answer there, but Bailey, the good thing was we'd worked on that stuff before, so he actually came up. That was always him. He led that, you know. I was hoping that's what he'd say. But he was always thinking that, and that was, and I don't tend to try and tell people what to do. I tend to try and use a bit of like motivational interviewing, where you're kind of leading the player or the athlete to find their way. Because the way I would do something might not work for you two, you know, or it might not work for Bailey, or it might not. I'm just going to give them options, and they're going to find the way that they can apply it, you know. And you know, like all the stuff Bailey's done is not. Bailey's done a lot of that stuff on his own. He's got Kiefer, his coach. You know, it's a big team. He's got lots of people in his corner helping him out. You know, it's not just me. So. But the one thing is I tend to, you know, unless they are really battling with something and they can't find their own way, I might do that. But I tend to try and just give them options, and then they find the way to apply it and what works for them. And that's way more powerful, right? Because then they're
absolutely.
They're taking the responsibility. It's their decision, not me just telling them what to do.
So do you feel like a challenged or, you know, nervous dad on the sidelines with all these athletes when you're seeing them do well or not do well? You're like, oh man, like does it create your own stress for you?
It does, but I'm definitely way better at dealing with it. Like I used to like it's like any nerves, right? It's just because it's important and it means something to you. But I also know that I can't do anything about it at that moment. So it's just like, well, you know, it'll be what it'll be. And I always think like one way or the other, he'll either learn something from it and he'll get better from it if he doesn't do it, or he'll, you know, happy days, we'll celebrate it. Like it's not, you know, I think as a coach, you've got to be aware of that. We can put our anxiety onto the athlete by saying, you know, the way we're nervous about the event, or, you know,
because it reflects well on you if he does well, and you know, as a coach, and if they do poorly, like, you know, some of the coaching camps. Oh, geez, none of our athletes did very well this year, so that doesn't bode well for them in the future.
The interesting thing is, though, most people don't know who their mental skills coach is, so they're probably not going to blame us. They'll blame the actual coach. But
I'll blame the actual coach.
Did you see Bailey's post games little debrief? I think he put on.
Yeah. The one where he said what didn't go well.
Yeah. What did you think of that? What did you think of that?
I haven't actually. I don't know if I've talked to him since then, but we briefly talked about just how the games went itself, and I think there's still definitely a bit of stuff around his heart that's not quite right. So, and I don't think it's not just me, just he hasn't quite worked it out, because he was saying he was using aspirin and a few things, and there's still a bit of hit and hope there. So I think there's definitely some things the good thing about it is I think he still performed relatively well over a lot of things, but there was just there was a definite pattern of the long distance cardio pieces were a battle, right? So it's just about for him to work out, is it his fitness, is it his heart, is it a mixture of the two, is it whatever there. But there's no doubt that the good thing is I think he got the evidence that he's good enough to compete at that level, and with he knows there's still more. His ceiling's not there. He's not at his ceiling yet, so he's got space to grow. And if he can just if he can fill those gaps, he's going to be able to podium or win the games at one point if he gets it right. I think it's a bloody tough thing to win these days, right? It's getting harder and harder, and there's more. The athletes are getting better and better every year. So there's a lot of. It's
such a difficult sport. It's like it's not like coming 10th or just getting to the games. Takes so much, and yet the financial support is not there too.
No, exactly.
So that's another huge negative thing and stress creating thing. Is here I am absolutely smashing myself every day, and I'm having difficulty paying the bills. Versus someone who's in the top 100 golfer, and they're driving around in a bloody Porsche. Because it's just a different caliber of sporting economics. The money is just, there's so much money in some sports and so little in others. This is one of the hardest sports on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. And I think it's I think one of his strengths is he's such a down to earth, chill dude. I think he does, and he enjoys. The thing is, he loves it, and he loves making content. And I don't think it often feels like hard for him. So I think if you can, like for me myself, like I'd happily coach people around mental skills for free. If I didn't need to pay bills, I'd happily do it for free, like it, because I do love it.
That's great.
So I think if you, at least in that side of things, he is, he's got to push himself pretty hard, and it's a tough sport, but he does love doing it, and he loves creating the content. He loves sharing it with his fans. He's got a cool community of people that are behind him. So I think, I think he'd, I mean, I don't think many people start CrossFit expecting to be well paid. So it's a love it. And if you do get paid, that's the bonus, probably, right?
It's a bonus. It's a lifestyle. Just to sort of, in the interest of time, Dan, I know it's getting late. So just say, just say I ring you up or email you and say, hey Dan, I want some mental skill coaching. What are the machinations, and what could I expect in terms of moving forward with that? What would happen?
Yeah, so normally just do like a bit of a consultation, just figure out where you're at, what's your goals, what are your needs, what are you wanting to get out of things. We basically, the first session is kind of still a coaching session because we'll do a bit of stuff out of it. And then I'll just say, okay, this is the stuff I think I could help you with. And then if they want to go ahead, then we just, figure out a plan from there. Some people, I'm not too forceful on like, you need to do 10 sessions or whatever. Like some people need a weekly session for 6 months. Some people need a monthly session for 6 months. Some people just want to check in every now and then. Like everyone has different needs and different, no, sometimes it's finances, whatever it is. So it's just a matter of just working out what works for them and what support I can offer, you know.
Yeah. And so they do virtual consultations, or they need to live in New Zealand, or
No,
is everything sort of done over video consults?
yeah, we even do the breathing stuff over online, but obviously if they're in Christchurch or somewhere where I can get to, I'll do them in person. It's always good to connect like with actual humans, but it's easily enough to do online. Yeah.
Okay.
You meeting any of your clients when you come to Melbourne for your CrossFit Championship?
Luke's programming it, so I'll see Luke there. And no, everyone else is.
You're not getting coached by Luke, are you? As a
No, not at the moment. No, I don't have time to take CrossFit that seriously yet. Honestly, at the moment, I'm doing 6 hours a week of this dance training for this bloody ballroom thing that I'm doing, and then I've got 6 hours of cricket coaching for this Trans-Tasman, and then the CrossFit. Well, CrossFit's kind of just what I normally do anyway, so it's fine, but it's definitely not a sustainable workload at the moment. I'm looking forward to a couple of these things being finished, so I can just have a bit more of a sustainable lifestyle for a little bit.
So is that for the national team you're doing the coaching?
Yeah, it's the Masters. So over 40s New Zealand versus Australia. There's 35s, 40s, 45s, 50s, and women. Yeah. In Auckland. Yeah. So Aussies pretty good. Usually they've won. I think Aussies have won 95% of the World Cups ever.
Oh wow.
We've won about the other 4%, and then UAE have won 1.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so they're pretty strong.
Right. So are they made up of like all ex-Aussie players? Like are they still playing?
Not really. You get the occasional one, but most of them play indoor cricket up till when they become great, like test players and stuff. They don't often go back to it.
Yeah.
And Australia, that's why Australia do so well, because it's a bit more endorsed by their outdoor fraternity, whereas in a lot of other countries it's kind of frowned upon a little bit, which is a bit silly, but it is what it is. Yeah,
it is what it is. We better let you go to sleep so you can get some of that rest.
That's been super stimulating, and lots of food for thought there for myself, Anthony, anyone who's going to watch this video. It's going to be really, really helpful for them, and you might even find your email runs hot and you're not going to get it any quieter in the future. But and not just for CrossFit, but all sports, and not even for sport, but activities outside of sport. Life in general, being better at what I call the sport of life.
We've all got challenges and stress in life, so it's all the same thing, just different contexts.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, mate. Well, get to bed and have a great day tomorrow. We'll be in touch again, I'm sure.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Cheers, John.
And John Hepburn watched the whole thing. He goes, "That's awesome." Okay, John. Thanks for watching, mate.
Cheers, guys.
All right. See you, Dan. Thanks, mate.
Bye.
Yes.
All right, Anthony. We'll let Dan go home, go to bed.
Yep.
And we might have to go to bed too, mate. It's getting late.
Yeah, it's 8:30.
What a great show! What a great show! So much
That's very
information
cool.
there.
It's very cool. It's very cool. So
I've got to think about my mindset after that. Just flogging.
Interesting. I would say, obviously, I can't comment on you directly because I'm not you. But when I watch you during a workout, I feel like you're in a flow state a lot of the time, because you just set yourself into a rhythm and off you go, and then because I think you're not thinking too much about what you need to do. You're just doing it, which I think is the definition of kind of flow state. You're just.
What concerns me is why I get so anxious before workouts and nervous. Whether that's a bad.
But is that because you don't want the pain? You don't want the.
Well, is it that I know it's going to hurt because I have this expectation of myself to reach a certain level of performance, and to reach that level of performance, I've got to feel a lot of intensity, and I've got to feel that hurt locker.
Yeah.
Or I could say, well, why do I need to? Why do I need to get a certain time or do better or as good as a benchmark that I did, 6 months ago or 6 weeks ago?
Yeah.
That's like,
Because you probably just you do push yourself in every workout. I don't think there's any workout that you don't really push yourself in, but maybe there's peaks that you should start to work towards. So as competition season comes up, that's when you start to ramp up. So now you shouldn't be really trying to push yourself too much, right? You should be just moving in the gym, making sure you're
yeah,
doing well, and then
yeah,
come October, November, start to ramp it up. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it could take away from my focus on areas that I need to focus more on. Like everyone has holes in their game, and
yeah,
because I'm sort of like flogging myself in every general workout, rather than go, okay, this is cool. I'm going to do this workout, but then I have energy to focus on things that I'm shit at.
yeah, because potentially you may want to build some of your high end strength and focus on that and not worry about the cardio so much. Take a little bit of a rest on the
Yeah.
cardio, because you're going to get that back really quick. You're not going to lose that dramatically fast. So you could probably less focus on cardio and then focus as you get to the open on bringing that back up. But your strength, you never get a chance to do that because you're always smashing yourself, to do as many rounds or
Yeah,
do
and
as
there's
many
and there's
reps.
no way in the world I want to do a little strength session accessory after your heart rate's been 150 for 30 minutes.
Like tonight.
Yeah.
But you're breathing now. But interesting,
Yeah,
breathing through
no,
the
the
nose as
breathing's really
well.
cool. I think a lot of people would benefit from knowing that about the pursed lip breathing. You should try that, Anthony. Did you try that? Do you do that or not?
I
When you're
do.
really dying, just get the
I don't do it when I forget about it when I'm really dying. But I
yeah,
definitely do the purse breathing
in
in
the
ice
ice bath.
baths and and
There you
saunas,
go.
like
There
to
you go. There you
control it.
go.
So I never actually put it together that I should try and do it when I'm doing a
Do it in
heavy
a
workout.
workout. Do it in a
So
workout. Yeah.
so
Next time you're dying, I'll look over and I'll see whether you're letting just slow exhale against pursed lips. You'll be amazed. Obviously, breathe in. Breathe back in, get the air back in, but then just slow exhale. Cool.
yeah, some great things.
Great, great tips from Dan. Okay, mate. I'll catch you later. See
See
you,
you later,
everyone.
mate. Bye.